Are you wondering what to expect in 2024 in the Twin Cities as it relates to buying and selling? Well, we're going to talk about it today. We have Greg Mason with us, and he runs the incredible Edina Realty machine. Welcome back, Greg. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me on, Cari. It's great
Greg,
to
you
see
can
you
share
last
with
week.
everybody. Yeah, can you share with everybody what your role is with Edina for those that don't know you?
Yeah, my role is for Edina Realty HomeServices, actually CEO of all our companies, including Edina Realty, Edina Realty Mortgage, Edina Realty Title, and Edina Realty Insurance. And also our sister companies down in Sioux Falls, Hague Realtors, which is a recent acquisition. I oversee that marketplace too now. So got a lot of good
Congratulations.
things going on.
Yeah, that's incredible. What a big responsibility you have. It was an absolute honor, Greg, to listen to you at our recent company gathering to launch off this incredible year, and you shared some amazing nuggets. So I'm really excited to have you on today so you can share with our viewer right now today what to expect this year. So please do tell.
All right. Well, let me jump in a couple things, and I think first, we were excited to have almost 1,000 people there last week at our Together 24 event, a real kickoff for the new year, and we announced that for 24 years running, we've been the market leader, selling more homes in the market area in Minnesota and Western Wisconsin than any other company. So we're proud to continue to hold the top spot there year after year, and I think it's a real reflection of all our great agents at the company. I'm really excited, I think, to close the book on 2023, which we talked about last week. Was a very challenging year, I think, in the marketplace. And what we're really seeing now for 2024 is I'm really excited for. We're kicking off the year January. Our new sales, pending sales, new contracts coming in are about 20 to 25% over January of last year.
Excellent.
Last year was a low bar, but it tells you great activity. I think even the other number I think that is exciting is to see our listings coming in for the month are close to 30% greater than January of last year. So that's huge. That's, as you know, that inventory coming on continues to grow, and that will help us move towards a balanced market. So I think we've had, the fortune here, a little strange, but the good weather. I mean, who would believe the weather we've had? And I think that good weather has obviously helped the market to get going. But a number of other factors that both Sherry Schmidt and I, or Sherry, Edina Realty president, who does a great job, and myself, talk about. Well, I think pent-up demand. As we saw a lot of people on the sidelines last year, we're seeing those people coming back on the market, whether they be renters or whether they be someone sitting in the home, finally decided to make that move. That pent-up demand is really starting to come out there, and I think that's great to see. 2023, we saw mortgage rates. We knew 3%, as I've said, wasn't real, but all of a sudden it moved to 5 to 6 to 7 to almost 8, and that was a shocker to the market. And we're down to really brought back down to 6.5 now. And I think the projections obviously different, different pundits and depends who you pay attention to, but they're really projecting 6% or lower, somewhere even projecting all the way down to 5%. That's going to really help drive and really help homeowners this year and the first time buyers get into the market. We're also very fortunate. I was watching a little bit of CNBC this morning, and I've become a Fed junkie, I think, watching what the Fed does.
Yeah.
And they've done a great job. I've never did that as much before as I have this last year, but inflation is definitely slowing. There's some good numbers again this morning. Continue to show inflation slowing. We've got such a strong economy, both nationally, but also in our market area is really strong, and great jobs market that we have, and so it's a real balance. And it looks like the Fed will continue later this year. We'll get the bets out when they do, but the Fed will start cutting rates, and that will help, I think, bring mortgages back down. And I think we'll get used to, and I think that market's starting to get used to that 6.5 to 6% to 5.5, and that's an okay rate historically. And I think that's really good. I think the stock market, if people open up their accounts, it's at an all-time high, and there's a tremendous wealth in this country. So a lot of good signs there. I can I think, and you hear it, Cari, we get people talking about, is there a bubble? There is no bubble that we see in the real estate market at all. Prices have been holding. Our projections this coming year really are continuing slow appreciation, but still probably in the 2 to 4% range. And I think that's really good. I think obviously the inventory is growing, but it's still limited. That helps that really helps hold prices up. And one of the other things probably not everybody talks about is the fact that the lending standards really since the recession in 07, 08 and that time period when the Dodd-Frank Act got put in, that lending standards are high. People still have to qualify, which is so different, which continues to help, I think, hold the market up, which is a good thing. People actually have to qualify and prove that they can pay that mortgage. And I think it's reflected in the fact that the distressed sales and foreclosures or short sales really are very low, 2.5% or less right now. So, and there's a couple other interesting stats as you look at that low foreclosures, the equity that people have. This kind of national number, but you break it down, you can break it down by market. But average home equity that people have is 185,000 plus. 185 to 200,000 people are sitting in a lot of cash. I think a lot of people are starting to understand that and see the opportunity to make that next move from that standpoint and take that and move up the next step here as rates come down. And I think the other one is that we've got 40% of homeowners own their home outright, no mortgage, 40% of people. So we're seeing that in the marketplace. We're seeing cash buyers at the highest level. As a company, we're about 25% cash buyers right now. I looked back and looked at our numbers all the way back to 2016. We typically were running 16% of our sales in a year for cash. And I'm sure you're seeing it in your transactions.
For sure.
A lot of cash out there. So you add all that up, and we see a rebound in 2024, and we see a lot more activity as we're already starting in January. So that's kind of my some thoughts, Cari Ann, as we kind of look at the beginning of the year. A lot of things to be optimistic about in 2024 for real estate.
I completely agree with you. So I know this gets granular, and you're running the machine from a higher arching viewpoint. What's your take on what's very clearly a challenge in terms of our inventory flow, in terms of availability in the marketplace as it relates not only locally but nationally? And that lever varies depending on which state you're in. And what do you forecast over the next 1, 5, and 10 years as we try to solve for our housing needs here? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think one of the things we're starting to see a little bit of that, the new construction. New construction, we have to have that new construction, and I think cities are recognizing some of that. Not all of it all the time, but they've got to continue to lower some fees. Homeowner, inventory though new construction is up about 20% year over year in our market area in cities. So I think a lot of the builders, especially the large builders, are feeling more comfortable out there, and I think obviously they're, it's all driven again by mortgage rates for them, and I think as they build that confidence, we'll start to build that inventory, and I just come back to that pent up demand, whether it be one of my own children who is renting an apartment right now. They're out shopping already this year, ready to be a homeowner, and I think there are a lot of people who continue to want to make that next move or that transition, and that continues to happen.
What's your take when we have this particular city is interesting in the fact that it's young and it's right sizing empty nesting? Like, we have a really interesting right down the middle, really, in my opinion, with the workflow that we see. And 40%, and I say this constantly when I'm having these opportunities to interview, 40% of our state and our city is in fact right sizing empty nesting, quote unquote, none of which really have to sell, many of which are trying to figure out the next step. And there's a little bit of psychology going on there, right, to get them to offer up their housing need. And I do see that young people are very interested in exploring those opportunities depending on the price point, and there aren't so afraid to maybe put a little sweat equity into the home. So I do see some balancing here over the next year, 2 years, as we start seeing these right sizing efforts become more apparent. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and I think on the, on the one end, those homeowners who've been there a long time looking for that next move, I think that, as the builders continue and the inventory comes on for, multifamily or villas,
Mm,
detached townhomes, I think I see, there's a lot of people in that demographics looking for that type of product. And I think that product continues to move very well. And I think
I
that's
do.
continue to be the case. I think that, we see it, and, because a lot of people they want to be able to, lock the doors and go away, whether it be for a week, a month, or, 6 months, even
Mhm.
uh, away. So they want something that they don't have to worry about. On the flip side, I think you're totally right. I think on the millennials and the people who are still renters want to be the homeowner. I think they have seen their friends who have bought homes started to build that equity. And as they
Mhm.
build that equity, I think they all, they see they need to get in on that. And I think they see it more and more that I see that group. I see that group really trying to, come into the market this year. I think as we've seen, unfortunately, the last couple of years, the multiple offers and the challenges for people to even get that first home has been
Agree.
really, really difficult. So I think with the inventory growing, hopefully they've got some more opportunities. We've also seen people, obviously, with post-COVID, with
Mhm.
remote workplace or hybrid, which I think, businesses and companies are still trying to figure out that balance to a degree. But I think that they are moving, people are moving further away within, whether it be the Twin Cities metro, further out, uh,
Mhm.
or throughout the state. Some of our strongest markets this last year have been some of the outstate markets, uh,
Right.
which
I
has been,
agree.
you look at a Duluth, you look at a Rochester or an Alexandria or a Brainerd area, those continue to be really strong markets. And also, obviously, some of those are second time markets too.
Agree. So, obviously we're Twin Cities markets. We're going to talk about Minnesota as a whole. We find that second home ownership, aka lake homes, and warm climate. Hence the reason we just opened an office in Naples, Florida, right? We call it the second Minnesota in Southwest Florida. Do you agree that the second home effort as a state and a city is kind of seeing an uptick due to such a large population of empty nesters? What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
Me
I'm
too.
sure like you are, I talk to so many people in my neighborhood who are in Florida or they're gone. They're here through Christmas to see the kids and the grandkids, and they're down, and it seems to split, but I think the majority within them, our market area go to Florida. And I think
Mhm.
that's one of the things that we, started having those conversations about opening up an office in Florida. Is I think we had 75 or 80 agents within the company who kind of raised their hands and said, "Hey, we're interested. We're down there,
Mhm.
been down there, and we really, that's where we opened up the Naples office, but to really just
Mhm.
serve that whole, call it that Southwest area from Sarasota all the way down to Fort
It
Myers."
just makes sense. Yeah, it's an incredible area. It's a need, and we're here. I always say the concierge way. We're here to serve up and solve for the challenges, and not even challenges, but solutions to how to make life more enjoyable. Where are you going to live? And I think that is a huge piece of why we sit and have these dialogues. So we're able to dig a little deeper into a conversation around what we're here to help you do. And that is to right size, whether it means you're moving out of the rental and into your first home, or you're empty nesting and you're managing your lake home, your primary home, and want a warm respite, that trifecta. For me personally, I'm seeing a lot of that happen right now. In fact, I think we are having this opportunity to interview you at this very moment in time at your lake place, are we not?
We are. So I snuck up here last night and had all my meetings today are online meetings, and I think that's it's interesting. I see more traffic leaving the Twin Cities on Thursdays now, and
Yeah.
Thursday evenings first. The traditional used to be every packed up on a Friday afternoon late and
I
left.
know.
It's definitely changed. And I talked to other people who work and live in Twin Cities, but they've got a lake home, and they might work here remotely a day or two, but then they're back in the office too. And I think it's an interesting work world that we've kind of now have that we're now experiencing with that balancing of still
Yeah,
being able to work remote at times in meetings and still get the work done, but then also need to be in person, because I think it's, to me, that's still an important piece. You got to interact in person.
absolutely. It's important to have that human interaction, and this is very much worthwhile touching on because it absolutely circles back to lifestyle and home ownership, right? I mean, the reality is, it's all in how you look at it, and we call it the pivot. So the COVID really allowed industry, business, and people, it forced a pivot, and now we're able, I think, to take advantage of those opportunities to improve our daily flow, if you will, of work life, whether you want to call it work life balance, whatever that might be. And you're able to really put yourself into this environment, which is what our homes are. It's an environment to be able to enjoy, to work in, to live, be with our family, all the things that we love doing. And in talking about what's happening in our market specifically, we are a unique little, I call it creme brulee market in Minnesota. And we are becoming very attractive, I think. And tell me what you think, Greg, from an outside perspective, where we used to be kind of called flyover country. Our natural resources, our lifestyle is becoming very attractive to many. And not only whether you're a local or you're coming in from an outbound area, east or west coast, the family component to how we operate and how we live is very much real here. And because we're in Minnesota and have the lakes, and because we're in Minnesota and have the cold, it gives us this dynamic opportunity to talk about real estate in a very unique way. The warm climate conversation paired with the lakeshore and the primary, I think, is unique to our market, specifically in the Midwest. If you were to give your friends and family that that you're amongst right now, because you are 40%, we are 40% of our state, what would be the number one piece of advice you would share with them to help them make a decision to make the lifestyle move they've been holding out on when they've been in their home for 20, 30, 40 years or longer? What would you say to them?
I think, and it kind of ties into our ad campaign, even, this year too. You know, if you put your life on pause, you can't keep your life on pause forever, right? You
Mhm.
need to move forward. And I think, people are realizing that life's too short. I think, you need to go out and make it happen, make that dream of your home ownership dream, that next step, whether it be buying that lake home, whether it be buying that next home up, or buying something, south. There's no reason to wait. And I think, if and I think for first time home buyers too, I to my sons, I pushed right away to get in home ownership, and it's been great for them. And they've continued to see their equity grow. And I think people can always try to guess the market, and I think that's one of the other things. Stop trying to guess the market. Anybody who's bought a home, it's for living in, as you said, but it's also it's one of the most pieces of wealth people will have, and there's no reason to wait. And this market in 2024, I think, really gives us that opportunity to, with rates coming down and with the inventory growing, that more and more people to be able to take that next step. So I'm excited to
Incredible.
see it. Yep.
That literally just nails it right on the head. I mean, there's no better way to share how exciting these next months are going to be now that we've worked through some of the lack of clarity in 2023. We are able to enter 2024 with full clarity, and you did a beautiful job articulating it, Greg. You really did. I think that's a perfect way to allow you to go back to your beautiful lake place and enjoy your day. Is there anything else you want to share with the audience today before we say goodbye?
No, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to do this again. This is our second one that we've done together, and this is a
Mhm.
lot of fun. and gives me
I'm
an
so grateful for the collaboration. That's the whole point, to take brilliant people like you and be able to share small nuggets that help move the needle is the whole point of this. So I'm super grateful for the opportunity and really enjoy having the opportunity to listen to you. You did a brilliant job at our event last week. Thank you so much for your shares. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Cari Ann. And we'll get going at the market here in 2024.
Absolutely. That is Greg Mason, everybody. Thank you so much, Greg. So valuable. Awesome to have some time with you. Thank you. We'll see you next time on Fly the Coop.